Thank you for NAFH team and the participants here for giving this opportunity to talk to you and to interact with you. I really have been looking for this workshop for more than a year or so. Due to pandemic, we have been postponing this, but finally we are here to look at the applications of AI in FinTech. So let me share my screen. Okay. So, so I am Esther. I'm done my master's in advanced control systems, which is AI specialization. So today's scope will be on introduction to AI, which will talk about how human intelligence can be replicated in an artificial way. And we are going to look for on a high level, we look on the landscape of FinTech, where the opportunities the finance sector provides for better use of AI in its real world applications. So as we look for AI landscape, we'll come across text image processing and data processing, and we are going to look for the use cases of these technologies in finance domain. Please feel free to ask post your questions with respect to slide. So we are trying to mimic human sensor or actuators for cognitive decisions. So what exactly a human is different to any machine? So it's, if you can just see, like we are having the major five senses of hearing, seeing, and able to smell, taste, and touch. The five sensory organs we have, which are processed, the signals that are processed through our brain, and action, reactive action, a signal given back by your processor, nothing but your brain, to your actuators, again back to. So we are always cognitive enough to react to a situation. So that's what makes us able to be different from any other living being in this animal kingdom. So in this slide, I have given you different sensory organs or sensory capabilities a human has, and how is that being mimicked in AI. So as the term AI says, it's an artificial intelligence. Intelligence of human is being mimicked in an artificial way. Not necessarily that it should have a brain and it should have eyes to see or ears to hear, but in digital sense, it's a brain is a processor, of course. All the sensors like the eyes or the ears we have, we call them as sensors in the digital world. And in response to our brain system, so we act based on using our actuators. Like say, if there is a fire that we touch, we immediately open up our hands and throw the fire, like, or a coal. So the burning coal. So the same hands are actuators as well as sensors. But say that same could be in a different in the digital world as well. So here we are going to replicate or the mimic the intelligence the human has in an artificial way. So the processor, the main processor of human body is brain. So the control system is human brain. So we are replicating that brain or cognitive decisions taken by the brain with using the algorithms in a digital sense, or using a digital processor. Okay, so this is as you can see, human body is an ecosystem of sensors, actuators, and also a control system to process the data and take decision. As your brain has different parts of lobes and different parts in it to do some cognitive tasks. for listening, for music, and for dance, for arts, for analytical skills. So every part of brain has its own division or lobe in the brain hemisphere. So similar way, even our artificial processor has different modules, we can say different modules to see. We are not directly seeing in an artificial world, but cameras are your artificial eyes, and the speaker is your artificial throat. So there are very different trends that are coming up, even to replicate or mimic the smell, taste, and touch as well. So that is very naive research going on. But today's focus would be more on what we see and what we hear or speak. So on your left, if you can just see, hearing or speaking ability in human comes by processing sound that we hear in a text form or in a lingo. When someone speaks to you, or when you hear an audio clip, or as you listen to me through this video conference, you are listening to my voice. Okay, this sound waves are converted into, your brain, the moment your ear hears this voice, it will convert the sound waves into, it recognizes each word that is being spoken and frames it into a linguistic manner, which we are right now using English as the base form. So since we are already equipped with the knowledge of English language, so which is we call as corpus. So since we already have a corpus of English dictionary, a bit of based on every person, every individual's capacity and vocabulary. So that corpus is being used to analyze the words in the text that is being spoken and aligns it to derive a meaning according to the linguist that is being taught. So, this human behavior can be replicated in a similar manner, which we call as a speech processing or speech recognition in AI. So speech recognition is a field of computer science and also artificial intelligence, which deals with processing of sounds and converting the sounds into text or into frequency modulations. We'll just look further in further slides, the more details about how exactly these things are happening. Maybe more on the speech, text and image processing. The similar thing happens on when you on the ability of seeing. So in mimicking how a human sees. So if you can just understand your own brain, your own processing system, how you analyze what you see, that's what is being replicated here. So the idea of me presenting this slide is to bring you up to a cognitive level to understand AI as not a myth or a jargon, but in a sense of your practical experience. So, excuse me. So when you see what exactly are you doing? You are watching colors. You are watching, you can't see darkness, maybe some, but you need light, you need colors, and colors differentiate objects. So it's a human brain is highly cognitive, and it's highly impossible to replicate the way it is. But for specific purposes, we can use this very minute applications a brain can process in an artificial intelligence. So just to check, hope I am clear for all of you guys, right? Are you able to hear me? Am I audible? Is my pace good enough? Can you just put it on the chat? Oh, okay, that's good. Thanks for that feedback. So what I'm trying to understand, make you understand is how you hear, how you process what you hear, how you see as a human, and how is that, just ponder on how you process what you see, and how do you identify what you see as an object, some different object. Like say, an infant can't recognize every object, but you teach them that this is a pen, this is a book, or this is a pen, then obviously a girl looks at the image or the shape of this object and trains her brain to learn and know that, okay, this kind of thing is called pen. It's not just that it should be in a rectangular shape with a cap that becomes a pen, but the purpose of this is to write, right? With a name, everything, every detail of this is captured by your brain. And this is what is corpus. The every detail of what you hear or what you see is captured and stored in your memory. That's called corpus. So we have a corpus of words, corpus of images in our brains, which will help us to understand what we are hearing or what we are seeing or what we are smelling. That's a wonderful capability of our brain to process smell and to process taste. It's really, I guess it's difficult to replicate that in artificial, but recent researches are happening even in that wing as well. So coming to this second section where I'm talking about what you see. So when we want to replicate an artificial way of seeing things from the brain of an artificial intelligence, so we are trying to, so what exactly human brain does? It would see an image, have a, a 3D view of an image and identify it as a particular thing. So when your eye sends you a screenshot of what it sees in the scope or in the vision of your sight, that picture is identified but is given as an input to your brain. And brain will identify each and every pixel. As you know, image is nothing but a group of pixels, video is nothing but a group of frames or images. So every image and every pixel is identified by your brain to a very minute level. And each detail is understood by it compared to the corpus that it has been trained for over these periods. So, based on analyzing and mapping it to what has been taught as example, I see a pen in front of me. When I see this pen, my eyes have given a picture of a pen with the background of a laptop and everything to my brain. My brain will focus only because my focus is only on the pen. So brain focuses only on the section of the image being to be identified. So it will map this image of a pen will be mapped to the corpus or the data that is in your memory, which have been stored for over decades and over a period of time, and it will quickly identify that this is a pen. So the same thing we are replicating in artificial way, and we have built a library in the sense it's a group of files, you should say. So programmed files. So which will identify, which will connect, interact to the system and identify the image being processed. So the field that is dedicated to understand the image and the process the image is called computer vision. So as you can see here, computer vision is a section or the science of AI which deals with image processing. Similarly, when you write something, you are able to understand the text. How is that? When I write a letter A, I identify it as A because A has its own strokes and its own shape. So which is being taught to our brains that the letter with starts and ends like an O, but it's not an O because it has a tail to it, becomes a small A. So this kind of knowledge or training given to your brain makes you identify the text. You can also say, ask me one, you may ask me one more thing that uh, text is not really alphanumeric. Text can be even in image, right? So if, excuse me, bear with my cough, sorry. If you have, let me take this example. At the moment I read this text here, This is not editable alphanumeric text that I can have. It's an image again because I'm seeing it through my eyes, right? So this kind of even image has, the text can be identified by image processing, but in real world, we also deal with the data, right? Data can be in alphanumerical values. So all this data also being to be processed. So we look for text processing techniques, and the science world, or the subsection of computer science of AI, which deals with the processing of text, is called natural language processing, which is called NLP. So there are different kinds of algorithms. That's very deeper, which we'll talk in next month's session for a deeper aspects of CV or NLP, text processing or image processing. So these are the two fields, major fields, or like say, I would say three major fields that we are using in real world applications to identify a system and make a cognitive decisions and do a recommendations and predict some important information from the given text. So these are the main three things. One is computer vision for image processing. Two, NLP, natural language processing for text processing. And three, speech recognition to identify your speech, or I recognize your speech. Okay, so moving on. Hold on. So now that we have learned about the scope of AI, we'll look for the scope of, sorry, just hold on. Okay, for the banking sector, like say all our financial institutions and financial services, you guys, since you are from finance background, I would not more talk about this, but since our scope of the topic is on applying AI to finance, I'm just trying to revise you what exactly we are looking for in the banking services, where we can use AI, and uh, how it has been different earlier and how it's been different now after AI has come into picture. So as you know, banking is a way of protecting someone's money and a way of facilitating transactions between two people. Like say we have domestic banks, we have foreign banks, we have different bank services provided by different banks. Every bank has its own way of doing it, process of doing it, but the exact way of doing it is different from bank to bank, right? So I have listed out some of the services here, where a bank, what a bank can provide to um, its bankers, or its customers, right? So be it a remittance or debit card services or credit card services or payment settlement, every other check payment, every other thing that comes between a payment system or a trading system is what we have. I'm just looking, giving you an opportunity where we can look for intelligence in these places. Okay, so you also know non-banking finance sector where, like say peer-to-peer lending. So, sorry, how is that non-banking finance companies are different to banking companies? Banking companies can hold your deposits, but non-finance banking can be a media for you to invest on, or to just be in a lending platform, or to invest in the stocks or shares or bonds. You better know non-banking or non-banking finance companies, right? So they cannot deposit. This scenario is a very generic based in Indian scenario, but Mauritius banking scenario could have been a little more different, or we can get into the right content later. But here, my idea is to tell you different ways, different services that are available in finance sector, where we want to look for opportunities AI can place, or because here there's lots going on, lots goes on what we see, or applications that are for a new customer acquisition, the feedbacks, the transactional data. There's lots that goes on in banking and non-banking sectors, right? So, I'm almost coming to the real technology where we are presenting on, uh, sorry, my cursor is too fast. Sorry for that. So, excuse me. Okay, so now we are looking for what is a finance sector, or what is a text processing applied to finance sector. So the term text processing, as I was telling you, is to automate what is being analyzed, analyze the electronic text. Okay, so be it the data, the chat that you do on your mobile with your friends, WhatsApp chat, or whatever chat media you have on Facebook or messenger, any kind of messenger, or in particular to finance sector. So you are trying to transact. If you are using a digital wallet, you are transacting X amount of money to your friend. But added to that, if you are also having a conversation with everything is in numbers. Everything, the data is in text format, right? So as I already told you, natural language processing is what refers, it's an AI method of communicating. It's a brain, you can say it's a cognitive portion of your artificial brain, which uh, helps in communicating the natural language of corpus in a digital way. Okay, so you're using libraries to process your data. So the main techniques here, there could be a number of, I'm just listing out some of them that are useful for us while we apply this text processing to finance sector. Okay, so there is these are the techniques that we use to derive some definition or information from your from your process or data that is being transferred, okay, transmitted, I would say. So there is something called sentiment analysis. Sentiment, as the word name says, based on the opinions and the feedbacks given by, like say, customer surveys and reviews. So we can analyze the positivity or negativity or neutral opinion of customers on particular product. Like say in any finance, banking or non-banking sector, we introduce some platforms, say some products or some services, or web services. So obviously there is a lots of amount, like millions put on digital marketing. So why? We want to know how the product reaches to the customer. We also research on the product, like we also try to find out, do a surveys, find out how the product is reaching to the customer, or how it is being accepted, uh, maybe after using the product. So for those kind of uh, 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 opinions or feedbacks, analysis, we could go for sentiment analysis. There is another thing called a named entity recognition, which identifies, like say, from a given text. So, like, let me give an example to you so that you can understand why exactly I have listed these techniques here and where is it is useful. Like say, excuse me, you have an application form which has been entered manually by or a relationship manager. You have the data already in your through your banking application, let's say, and you want to analyze how your branch bank is doing, or how many people are there, how many male or female customers are there, all that. So which domain they belong to, like there may be some thousands of customers for that bank branch, and you would like to know the categorization of your customers, the account holders. So named entity recognition is the another application or technique of NLP, where you can identify there is already trained models. These are already trained models for specific tasks, I would say. That would be more easier for you to understand. So there is already a corpus of names, entities like names, people or location or organization, like say Bank of Mauritius comes under the corpus of organizations or the banks under in Mauritius, right? So there are maybe 19 more banks in Mauritius. So all those 19 banks will be listed. This is a manual task that would have been done earlier by someone, which is a thousands and thousands of data that is collected, which we call as corpus. I think corpus is clear to you all, right? Okay, let me check if that's clear. No, no questions. So this corpus will uh, help you to understand or categorize. You can use information in different ways, but named entity recognition is a particular algorithm or a program or technique where it identifies, okay, whether the text has people, and what if that is people, then what is the names. It identifies the location based on maybe the geographical location of Mauritius physical location or maps coordinates, or by identifies by organization names. This is all like we have yellow pages. I don't know about Mauritius, but we have something called yellow pages in India, where we have as a dictionary of all the contact lists in that particular city or a town. It's something like that. This is a corpus. We call these yellow pages as a corpus. So corpus of organizations, corpus of locations, corpus of people names. Okay, if there are, like say, there would be only one prime minister of Mauritius, one president of Mauritius, right? There won't be any, but list of all those, like from beginning, what are all the presidents, who are all the presidents of Mauritius. It's just a data set. That's a corpus that belongs to a corpus of prime ministers of Mauritius, like that. So this data is utilized or used by the named entity recognition to map this particular name and to a particular name in the corpus of presidents or prime ministers, or particular organization name mapped to its corpus, and I retrieve its data and categorize it as, okay, this is organization, this is the word, the text in this word is an organization, the text in this the word in this text is as a person's name, like that. So even there is one other technique called the text summarization. Like say if you know the help page of any bank, if you look for, there would be of do's and don'ts, or how to use a service and what are the product details. Every bank has its own way of communicating information to its bankers or to its customers, right? So how would you summarize, like say one topic, on one topic, what exactly what is the summary of a particular web page. So if you want to look that, this is more generic, not specific to finance. And these techniques that I'm listing now are generic, but we'll use only what is relevant to us in finance. Okay. So text summarization would be summarizing chunks of text on articles or research articles and summarize them into, or even the text. You can even name the article based on the content of the research paper or the paper. Like say, that's what the next point says. It's a topic modeling. Okay, identify the topics of the brief of the text. So text classification, as I again told you, it's a categorization of words that are being passed from the text. Okay, this keyword extraction, lemmatization, and stemming, these are little more details, which are really the fundamental processes that are used by the techniques of NLP, which lemmatization is coming to from a word, from a sentence or a text that has been inputted to the algorithm. It will find out whether that word belongs to any parent word or a root word, if you can say. Play, playing, played, all these different forms of verb belong to one root word called play. So this is called lemmatization or stemming. Both are a little bit similar, but have different little difference in processing it. That's it. Okay. Excuse me. So moving on. So here, uh, are you able to see my screen full? Because I just see this. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So here we are looking for text processing applied to in trade finance. So there is one application which I want to show you. See anything, any application, if you want to apply text processing or if you want to use image processing, you need to know the system first. So you need to know the process. You need to identify where exactly can this be used. Okay, either text processing or image processing, whatever technique, whatever AI technology that you want to use. First, you need to identify your system, identify the ecosystem, identify what exactly goes in the process. Sorry, there was a power off, I guess. Um, it's okay, fine. If you're not able to see me, I think you are able to hear me. So exactly what happens is you have to know the system well and you need to know the process. So here is an example of a letter of credit, which is a document that is shared between banks in a trade. Like say there is a exporter, there is an importer, there's a buyer or a seller, and like say Amazon and we. Amazon is a supplier and we are buying goods. It's not just e-commerce platform that we are discussing here. We are just looking for even the trade level. Okay. So there is an exporter and there is an importer in different locations of the globe. How do you know that? How do you make sure that the importer gets his goods and the exporter gets his payment in time or guarantee who guarantees the payment? So as this is the screenshot pasted here shows you the process of a letter of credit. So let me explain you. If you really already know, bear with me. I'm just explaining it for those who do not know it already. Okay, so there is an exporter, there's an importer. An exporter makes an agreement or a contract with the importer that so and so goods will be shipped for so and so cost, and they agree on that contract. So when the importer has to submit, apply for LC, letter of credit, for the bank his company or he has an account with locally. So, sorry. And that bank will, if you can just see this second, you can see the numbering here. Okay. So as a third step, the bank of the importer will communicate with the bank of the exporter, which would be a global location. They would interact saying that, yes, this guy has, the importer has an amount of so and so amount balance in his account from my bank. So this is a document of surety. So this surety document or letter of credit is forwarded from a bank, local bank, to a global bank, right? The global banks connects with the exporter, who is also account holder in the global bank or advising bank, and verifies the LC, like if this is the amount that was payment required and for so and so all the LCA is being forwarded and verified with the exporter, and the exporter submits the required documents to be required by the advising bank. And this closes the loop with the documents being forwarded between the banks manually, and and step 8, that's when actually the goods are initiated. The shipping of the goods is initiated at step 5. Once this document between the banks are forwarded, the local bank or issuing bank verifies and confirms the settlement to the importer. This is the basic process. So can you exactly, sorry. So if you can identify yourself here, can you understand you are the importer, and there is an exporter sitting somewhere in America, and you are trying to get goods. You got a contract from him, and would you like to wait for your bank to communicate the LOC to the US bank, which would take at least 5 to 10 days for the document to be sent uh, uh, to the US bank or advising bank and get the documents back from that. All this to and fro process, a physical process, takes lots of time. This is more of a blockchain application, but still, you can also see that there is a physical document being shared between international banks or banks at different locations, sharing manual document from one and one. So like say if you are sitting just beside my building, I would have given it to you in a minute. But if you are sitting outside the country, of course it takes time, right? So why to waste so much of time? Instead, if you can have a soft copy or a digital copy of the document, and it can be shared like you are sharing from a Google Drive, or maybe not exactly Google Drive, but a shareable drive between the banks, trusted shareable drive between the banks. Then how could it have been, how easier for it would be for the banks and also for the importer and exporter to save their time, and also to save the effort in verifying the documents and all that. We'll look for the verifying documents, how manual effort of verifying documents can be reduced in further slides. But then here we are looking for the text processing. So the document LOC is nothing but who is the issuer, who is the importer, who is the exporter, what is the agreement of, what is the contract agreement, or what are the terms. Like I said, this is all text and numbers. So this data has to be processed for analytics of either the banks. Mostly it would be banks who would require this kind of analytics. So text processing obviously helps there, right? Which would save a banker's time, and also the um, uh, account holder's time. So this is where I was actually asking you to identify what are all the possibilities of text in a physical form that can be made into digital form for you to apply the text processing. Okay, so you need to identify those. First thing, know your system. Second thing, know the process. Third thing, identify what, where you can have, you can replace a physical document into a digital document or digital text form. So these are the areas which we discussed already. So I'll just move on from this slide. So this is how you use this techniques for banking. So then let's talk about image processing. I'm sorry, just hold on. Yeah. As I was telling you, image processing is a method of performing operations on your image. As I told you, every pixel of an image is identified, is processed and identified. There are different techniques. Uh, I think it's audible for you guys. It shows my net is very weak. Sorry for the inconvenience. There is a power cut at this place. Hope my audio is sufficient for you. So the image processing, as we detailed earlier, it's a processing of your image into pixels. Okay, and the field that connects to the field of the study of images in artificial intelligence is computer vision, which enables you to derive meaningful information from your digital images and videos and any other image form. Okay, be it a text in image form as well. So the techniques here, as you mentioned, there is something called image segmentation, object segment detection, facial recognition. I know these are the key buzzwords that you have already seen or come across some of the other point. Pattern detection or image classification, feature matching. How is that these things are useful for image segmentation? I'll just try to put everything in one line, explain the techniques in one line. Image segmentation is nothing but the moment a picture is given to your model, it will tell you what all the aspects are there in that image. Like say a screen has a tree or a road or a car in it and a human being walking through it. When it comes to your finance or banking domain, like say a camera is detecting is kept at the ATM bank service point, and it detects who is a human. A camera can watch the ATM, and also it can look for the people walking in and out. So it can identify or image segments the image into human being or ATM machine or a room or a glass door, all that. So object detection is the one technique that is being used by image segmentation, where you say which kind of object is really there in that segmented image. Okay, like say whether there is a human being standing there or whether it's a dog or a cat. As I already told you, explained you in detail, while you're doing a text processing, you have a corpus of so and so, corpus of a particular thing, entity recognition. So the same applies here as well. You have a corpus of images, corpus of cats, corpus of dacoits, corpus of fraud people, corpus of human being, corpus of let's say cash, uh, a hard copy of cash or something like that. Everything has its own corpus. So this corpus will help us in identifying, different images in the app. So coming to facial recognition, how is that? Like say, there is already a model developed based on human features, like with two eyes at the top location with a focal, with a distance of so and so, which can be a varied length, a nose shape and size, lips and shape and size, every feature set. We call this as feature set. Feature set, not key points, you can say. Key points of a human face are nothing but your eyes. When you're identifying a face recognition, how do you identify a face? As you can see in the middle picture, her key points, like say of her forehead, her eyebrows, her eye length, lip length, teeth, everything is a corpus. So, teeth in different shapes becomes in image form is a corpus. Lips, human face is a corpus. So all this corpus is already existing, and the model is trained to recognize a face and feature sets. So face recognition, as you know, different applications or the use cases where you use for digital authentication of right usage of a debit card, or it's very rarely used in our scenarios, but you might have seen the left one, which is the first picture where there is a fingerprint being recognized, right? We have a fingerprint authentication or the biometric authentication. So even in Korea, you can see on the right side, there is a camera that is recognized, that is recognizing a user from or a customer who is drawing money from the ATM. Like say a high level of protection or security measures are being taken by this. So these are some of the applications of image processing, right? So wherever there is usage or requirement of, like say you can just imagine yourself sitting, like say you are a banker, by recognizing his photo with the visitor's photo, visitor's face, right? How you are recognizing? You look at the picture, that you have in your data set, in your data form, and you look at the uh, customer that who has come. So you verify his resemblances with the photo and try to come to a conclusion like, yeah, he's 99% the same guy. That's how even this image processing is doing, the algorithms that we are developing, all the applications that we develop for face recognition, or the eKYC, where text process, like the documents are being, scanned in text format or digital format, and these are being verified. So these are different ways of, adding security to finance domain. Okay, so it's very vast. So identify, and so I'm not saying you exactly these are the use cases, but I'm saying you to look forward for different use cases from your side also, and I'm just helping you to how to identify these kind of use cases in the applications of the systems that you're already working in. Okay, right. And say something similar is the data analytics. So especially when we come for fraud analytics, how do you identify fraud? Okay, so you can derive different information from data as well. Like as I mentioned here, the descriptive, diagnostic, and predictive. You can use this information, like say the weather forecast. We can look for the data of the weather from history, and also predict, like future, maybe it rains at so and so, and also the other weather conditions. We give a predictive information of the future. So when you infer from what is existing from the previous the past history, we call it as a descriptive analytics. When we are trying to analyze what has happened in the scenario where, which is applied in our fraud analytics, we call it as diagnostic analytics. Prospective analytics is it's a recommendation, like say, based on, for example, there is a customer who has been doing more international transactions, who is so the bank observes these transactions, and it gives a perspective, has, it has a perspective analytics on these, on its users or customers. So it will recommend what would be the best way to communicate or transfer the, maybe it find out that this guy has lots of balance in his account, so it would recommend some other wealth management systems or some other investment. It can recommend investment options, all that. So these are the perspective analytics that we talked about. So when I said to you, I have referred to you FATF, I'm sorry, this is too fast for me to finish the class, I guess, a session, I guess. So on the left hand side, I have given you the EBD Mauritius analytics here. The data analytics are helpful to derive information like this, like say 11%, there are 19 banks in Mauritius, and 8,635 employment has been given, and 13% GDP contribution. These data, how do you think they are derived from this? These are the nothing but the data analytics of the information that they have collected from different sources. Okay, so coming to the fraud analytics, I want to say you that, as I clearly told you, you need to replicate the formal or the physical process that we do. Uh, the how exactly a fraud analysis has will be done in real sense. Same thing will be replicated in a text format or in a artificial way here. So all the data and as I told you, this is more of text and a processing, and as well as the transaction data that has occurred, the fraud has occurred. So these are the like say, let me tell you, there was a transaction that has happened, and that was red alerted that it was a fraud. Then there was an FIR raised, complaint raised that there was fraud on your bank account. So and so account history is nothing but your data. So the data is being collected and pre-processed for what kind of activities of such fraudulence are happening, and you derive, like say, how much amount is actually being derived. Like you crawl the data and extract text from. See, what I'm trying to tell you here is, uh, all the banks have is the digital form data of info of this, what do you say, the customer's transaction. Okay, so this data is being processed to derive information from the previous transactions and all. So as I was telling you, the word segmentation, parts of speech and all this, these are all the machine learning methods or the NLP methods that are derived. And these machine learning algorithms will take those keywords and run through the model to give a correlative value for like what are the deceptive or the fraudulent in what kind of scenarios, I would say, what transactions were fraudulent. Like say this model has been trained from similar scenarios earlier, so it will be able to map it to its fraud. And that's how a speech, I mean, here they have given you an example of data analytics, also the text processing, and as well as the speech recognition also, where the video calls, maybe audio calls have been model to find the fraudulence, like calls also you get jackpot offers, all that, right? So those fraudulent calls also can be detected using speech recognition by parsing the different words of the words spoken in the speech. Okay, right? This is how a fraud detection happens. There can be more added to it. I'm just limiting it here so that you not be overwhelmed with what more technical, but more of use cases. I want to give you a perspective of how you look at the opportunities that are there existing in your finance domain, and how you look to trace or apply the technologies that we have here. Okay, right. So this come brings me to an end actually. So further, there is another session which goes much deeper into the mathematics of these algorithms, like say NLP or CV or speech recognition. How exactly are they identified? How do you map your system into mathematics? All that is can be learned in our next session, which is on mathematics of AI. Okay, thank you so much for your time, and I'm done now.